Welcome to Weekday Somatics. Happy Monday to you. I think it's Monday. So pretty excited to share some things with you today. So let's get started. Let's, if possible, it would be wonderful if you are able to participate sitting today, because some of the things that I'd like to share with you, they will definitely be, definitely, they'll probably be, for most people, in most situations, it will be better, more enjoyable. It should be very enjoyable. It will be, today should be a very enjoyable day. So if you can do it sitting, it would be wonderful. But you have to be honest about what your capacities are, and if you're unable to sit without strain, then don't sit, because the best experience will be the experience that you can be fully present to. And if you're overwhelmed or distracted by strain or any of the habits that surface, if they're overwhelming to you, then your attention's on that, right? So we're wanting to set ourselves up on this, call it the razor's edge. Okay, we're not pushing, we're not straining, but neither are we collapsing. Okay, so we're present, awake, aware. We're aware of the sensations, aware of the experiences that are arising, the thoughts, the memories, the images, all of it. Yet we're able to be relatively still. So there'll be some movement, a little, call it swaying, gentle, like a light breeze inwardly. So there's always some movement, but we want to be as restful as possible, but present, so that we're not just, zonking out, but present. And if you can, I know it's a bit much to ask, but if you can even consider the possibility of a gentle happiness, that will be even nicer. Okay, just gentle, it's not forced, but just what happens when you just release all of the ideas about how hard life is, and how impossible everything is, and how miserable everything is, and how nothing ever works out, and so forth. What if you just let that all go for just now, and just welcome? And I know this is challenging, because there's something in us that's like, I don't know, that's unsustainable. I can't do that. It's going to come back and bite me in the ass. But just see what happens if you just let all that go and just invite a very gentle ease and happiness. Not forced, but just welcome that as a possibility. Okay, so enough preamble. So hopefully you've selected a posture that you can inhabit with confidence for the next little while. And if it's comfortable for you, then close the eyes. If it's not comfortable for you, then don't. And tune into the natural breath. So when I suggest tune into the natural breath, as a reminder, I'm talking about becoming aware of the breath as we'll call it a divine gift. So it's not something that you have to do. You don't have to labor over it. You don't have to try and squeeze the exhalation and, huff and puff and all that. You don't have to do so much work, but rather you can just become aware of how the breath has its own life, its own movement, its own flow, its own rhythm. And your job is to be aware and to consciously get out of the way. When I say get out of the way, I don't mean go blank or absent, but I mean to not interfere, to not introduce unnecessary strain or restriction, force or effort into the breath, and just allow yourself, your body, to be moved and shaped and guided by the breath. And so as you're tuning into the breath, you're noticing many things. You're noticing where you, in the body, where you grip and tense and strain, where you squeeze. And you're noticing also where you exaggerate or push, strain, try too hard, so that the breath becomes satisfying, smooth, gentle, and complete and relaxed. Not because of force, but just because that's its nature. So you're just allowing that to reveal itself to you through awareness and conscious release of the habits. And then you're also aware, so like I said, a lot of things to be aware of. Also be aware of the thoughts, feelings, emotions, images, memories, whatever else may arise. So you might have any kind of experience. It's all possible. You could feel blissful, you could feel angry, you could feel sad, you could feel fearful, you could feel anxious, you could feel great gratitude, you could feel love. I mean, anything is possible. But here, rather than judging, which is what we're accustomed to doing, we're not here to judge and try and control the experience, because that's what we do most of the time unconsciously, is that we have these knee-jerk reactions, these judgments. That's bad, that's scary. And so we, without any conscious awareness, we just fall into the same habits over and over and over and over and over and over and over. And we wonder, why is my life so repetitive, so mechanical, so unpleasant? So here we're doing something very powerful by becoming aware of exactly why. This is the answer to why. You observe your breath, observe your habits, and you start to see that when you are experiencing whatever arises, that there are many facets. There's the mental facet, the physical facet, the emotional facet, the uh, imaginary facets. Imaginary meaning both the images drawn from memory as well as the projected images into the future, all utilizing the imaginative faculty. So we can just start to see, perceive through our direct awareness of our own experience, what's actually happening. And this is very powerful because then we have the knowledge, not theoretical knowledge, but direct knowledge. It's revealed to us directly. No, in fact, no words are even necessary. The words only point to it. But when you catch a glimpse of this in your direct experience, and then you do that over and over and over, what happens is you cease to fall prey to your own delusion, and you start to realize that instead of fighting with these phantoms, fighting with the memories, fighting with the images, fighting with the sensations, fighting with all of these the thoughts, how much time you just start to observe how much of your life is consumed by inner warfare with all of these aspects of your experience, and you have no leverage, nothing ever improves, just sort of shuffle things around, but the misery remains. And here we're seeing what's the linchpin. What are we actually doing that we could choose to do differently? You start to see, well, every time that I hold the breath unconsciously, every time that I turn the breath around at an unnatural point, every time that I squeeze my face instead of letting my face be soft, every time that I'm holding unnecessary tension in the abdomen, every time I do these things, it reinforces the old patterns. So by being aware and surrendering, we're bit by bit, we're allowing everything to release to its natural state. So I often talk about the significance and importance of the fascia. And so you can think about or imagine that you have this, it's like almost like a knit sweater that goes all around your body, head to toe. Very fine thread. And over time, because of our habits and what's happened in our lives and our reactions to that and the conditioning that's come to be, we have all of these cinched threads, and so we're uncomfortable. And bit by bit, what we're doing is softening and lubricating and nourishing and releasing and softening so that everything is smoothed and evened out, and we start to experience greater flow, greater ease, greater peace, greater harmony. So it's a very powerful thing, even though to the mechanical mind it seems like, when am I going to get to the important stuff? When am I going to get to the stuff that's really going to help me? But first and foremost, we have to have this awareness. Without the awareness, nothing will work. With the awareness, everything works. With the awareness, just breathing is our greatest healing ally. So continue to remain aware of the breath, and as you remain aware of the breath and continue to release and surrender ever more deeply, allowing for the breath to just move in the most pleasurable, natural way possible so that you feel completely satiated without any effort on your part. Letting the tongue be relaxed, letting the face be relaxed, letting your shoulders be relaxed, making sure that you're not squeezing or forcing anything. letting the buttocks be relaxed. I'll say a few more words now as an invocation. And so I want you to really consider what these words point to, because we can feel so disempowered. We can feel as though there's no hope, no possibility, that miracles are out of reach. And this can happen even when our lives are filled with miracles. Even when we are witness to those miracles, even when we recognize the miracles, we can have a dozen miracles a day, and still, if there's a lull for even 10 seconds, we can fall into this depression. Oh, nothing's ever going to get better. I'll always suffer. Why am I so miserable? Why is life so hard? So it's important that we can really start to recognize a transcendent truth that can uplift us from the habits of negativity. So begin to notice that outside of you, outside of your idea of yourself, you are surrounded by space. And that space is infinite in all directions. And if you explore with your senses, your imagination, with all your faculties, to the very best of your ability, you can discover in your direct experience that there is no end, no boundary to that space. It extends in all directions infinitely, as far as you're able to discern. And then you can look inwardly, and you can also find this same space, actually. You can discover that this, what we call the inside, is also infinite space, and you can use all of your faculties to explore that inner space and also discover that there's no end to that inner space. So you can look inwardly forever, continuing to look to the very heart, to the very core, the very center of this inner space, and you'll find that it just keeps going. It's just infinite. And then you can become aware that this inner space and this outer space are not, they're not separate spaces. There's just one space, and that the only thing that divides them is a conceptual boundary of whatever you conceive as the boundary of yourself. Whatever it is that you conceive distinguishes the inner from the outer. But if you look carefully now, in utilizing your direct perception, not just a conceptual framework, but your direct perception, then you'll discover something that, if you've never seen this before, it can be rather startling, actually. That there is no findable boundary between the inner and the outer, that there is one continuous infinite space, and that this one continuous infinite space contains all that is, every atom, every electron, every quark, every thought, every feeling, every experience, every person, every tree, every drop of water, everything, inner and outer, everything is contained in this infinite one space. That this one infinite space not only contains everything, but actually it is everything, that there is nothing that is separate from it. When we look more and more closely at any of our experiences, whether we're looking at subatomic particles through high-powered microscopes, or we're looking at our own feelings or thoughts, memories, what we start to discover is that inside every so-called particle of experience, say every feeling, every thought, inside of each particle of experience, there's more space, more subatomic particles, and inside those subatomic particles, more space with more tinier particles, and inside of those tinier particles, more space, tinier particles. Eventually, we get to a point where it all collapses into a singularity, where intelligence, awareness, matter, and energy all become one, or rather are revealed to be one. And so this is the truth, really, fundamentally. When people talk about the truth of who you are, you can just discover this directly right now in your direct perception. See that this is so. And then rather than making that fatal mistake that most of us make most of the time, which is to say, okay, great, but what's that going to do for me? Let us instead do something radical. And let's say, how can I serve it? How can I be an agent, a servant, a vessel for this ultimate truth, power, grace, harmony, intelligence that unthinkably manages perfectly everything in all of creation, so that day after day we awake and gravity is working and the planet is here and the sun is here. And in so doing, in this radical shift in our orientation as agents for this truth, we can trust and know that everything is taken care of, that we are breathed, our hearts are beat, we are directed and guided perfectly in every moment, every thought, every sensation, every feeling, every experience, every event, every circumstance is perfect beyond comprehension. So this is a really powerful reorganization. So take a moment to really allow that in and to realize that the ultimate transcendent inclusive truth actually manifests with a specific orientation or direction in this world of our individual lives, so that when we look to our hearts, we can see that the reality is that we have preferences and that those preferences are not arbitrary. The essential preferences are for love, kindness, generosity, harmony, peace, freedom, abundance. And this is a very important thing to realize, because when we see this clearly, when we realize that this is the truth that's been planted in our hearts by that divine intelligence, we can trust and surrender to that, knowing that it supports us. It has our backs. This life is not a mistake. It's not mere happenstance. It's divinely guided. And when we orient ourselves correctly and align ourselves with that truth, knowing that we are backed by that, we can further release all of the unnecessary effort, and we can allow ourselves to be guided by grace in our healing, so that we can be a blessing to ourselves, to our families, to our friends, and in this world. So just take a moment to recognize that truth and to have gratitude for that, to know that you don't need to struggle, you don't need to strain, you don't need to try and figure it all out. You don't have to come up with the right answers. You don't have to do it all alone. You are truly guided and protected in every moment, so that you can begin to trust that every experience, every moment, everything that happens is good and bringing greater blessings to you and to this world. Just trust and know that that's so, and you will see that unfolding more and more in your life. So have gratitude for that. And then we're going to do some movement. I'm pretty enthusiastic about some of the things that I want to share with you today. So when you are ready, if you would like to open your eyes for the movement portion, and you've had your eyes closed, then you can slowly begin to open them. Please be sure that you do so with awareness, so that you don't startle yourself. So we take a lot of time to cultivate that awareness and the sensitivity. And there's a part of our brains that is judgmental of that. But I want you to start to notice how valuable that sensitivity is in your life. You start to notice how that awareness and sensitivity dramatically amplifies the benefits that you experience through the somatic explorations. It allows us to do much more with much less, so that we can use smaller movements and gentler movements. And in fact, we can just use touch as a method to produce very significant changes in the nervous system that lead to greater ease at all levels. So let's start with a little bit of touch. I'm going to take my headphones off for this portion, because we're going to be touching the head. So start by rubbing your hands together and rubbing the palms and the fingers, and let the fingers interlace gently, so that you can feel the finger in between the fingers. So there's a lot of nerve endings in the hands. Hands are very, very sensitive, and we want to awaken them so that we can have that sensitivity as our ally. So as you're doing it, don't do it mindlessly, but really feel what you're feeling here. Feel the hands, feel the fingers. Make sure that you're breathing Let the face be relaxed. And then let's take the hands and let's actually just start with one hand. And let's place that hand right on the top of the head. And feel that we're not pressing hard, we're just letting it rest there. Feel the gentle weight of the hand all the way down, and you can gently lift it and place it again. So just gently and slowly lift and place the hand on the top of the head. Let it rest there for a moment, and then lift and place it. And each time that you do this, be aware, to the best of your ability, of the top of the head that you're touching all the way down, like you imagine that there's a line going directly down from the top of the head down through the core of the body all the way down to the base of the pelvis, so that you can start to really feel that connection. So feel the base of the pelvis and the top of the head and everything in between each time that you do this. And let that space between become more connected in your awareness, and notice how that helps you to release, so that you can start to release. Maybe you notice that you can release more in the pelvis, you can release in the neck, you can release in the lower back. And then rest the hand for a moment. And notice how something so simple allows you to have a greater awareness of your whole body. So we can rush ahead and not notice that, but it would be much more powerful to actually notice that. It's subtle, but very, very significant. So just take a moment to feel that connection that you've cultivated. And then when you're ready, let's use the other hand now. And let's bring this hand to the front of the head, to the forehead. And just do that same thing here. So we're just touching and then bringing the hand away and then gently touching and then bringing the hand away and gently touching, and see how gentle you can let the touch be. So at first it's probably not as gentle, but see how gentle can you let it be, so that it becomes more and more pleasurable. And as you, each time you do this, have awareness of where the skull is. Be aware of the skull. So feel the bone, be aware of the bone, and let everything that's on top of the bone, so all the flesh, let that all become softer, more yielding, so that it becomes easier for you to perceive and feel the bone with your hand. And then rest that hand and take a moment to notice. So have awareness, but now can you be aware of both the forehead and the top of the head all the way down to the base of the pelvis? So now you have awareness of the top of the head, how that's connected to the spine all the way down to the pelvis, and you have awareness of where the front of the skull is. So now let's see about the back of the skull. Let's use the first hand that we started with and bring that to the back of the skull. And do the same thing a few times. So depending on your range of motion in your shoulder, this may be more or less easy, leisurely. If it's strenuous, then just see how you can do it with less strain. If it's still strenuous, then rest. But we're bringing the hand to the back of the skull and see where is this, the actual bone there. So that's what we're exploring, is we're exploring through touch and awareness, becoming aware of the back of the skull. And also, of course, the connection between the skull and the shoulder, because we're utilizing the shoulder here. Okay, and then bring the hand to rest. And take a moment to notice now you have a newfound awareness of the back of the skull. And so you can become aware now. You should notice actually that your skull, your head, is more aligned, certainly front and back at least, with the pelvis, the spine, so that your head is more restfully atop your spine. Just with that simple, just a few simple touches. Okay, so let's do a few more things. Okay, we'll start, use the other hand. So we're just switching back and forth with the hands. That's not essential. You know, if you, for whatever reason, have a harder time with one, you don't have to, but it's helpful. It's good to switch it up for a variety of reasons. So we're going to bring that hand to the, so the fingers are touching the back of the neck. So you can just sort of just touch there gently, very lightly, just to feel the vertebrae of the neck. So you can feel them. They protrude a little bit. If you press gently, you can feel them. And then bring your other hand to the elbow of, so in my case, I've got the left hand on the neck, so I'm bringing the right hand to the left elbow. But you know, if you got it the other way around, you do it the other way around. So what we're going to do now is so the fingers are going to remain on the back of the neck, and then let that shoulder, the elbow, rest in the hand, so that you can take as much of the weight of the arm in your hand as possible. And then you want to discover how you can make the arm that's supporting the elbow, how can that be as restful as possible? So if you let that come into the chest, so in my case, it's the right, I'm letting that right elbow kind of come into the chest, and then I'm taking more of the weight of the other arm into the chest rather than trying to take it more into the other arm. So we're going to take a moment just to find how this can be as restful as possible. And then what we're going to do here is we're going to kind of coordinate the movement of, we're going to sort of move the elbow with the hand that's holding the elbow, and then let that also support sliding the fingers gently up and down, so you can kind of play around a little bit. But we're wanting to gently touch on and it will be on one side more. So like I'm using the left hand, so I'm letting the fingers kind of run along the left side of the spine, on the neck, the back of the neck, and just using the other hand to support that arm so that it offers multiple benefits. So don't worry about doing it exactly right. This is an exploratory process, but you should find that this gentle touch helps you actually very profoundly. So you can even let the bring the elbow up a little bit so that you can let the fingers slide down the trapezius a little bit, and then let everything rest. And should notice a significant difference between the two sides of the neck and the two shoulders. And maybe you notice that your head also now is starting to be even more easily atop the spine. And then let's do the other side. So we'll bring the other hand to the back of the neck, and then support with support the elbow with the other hand. And then we want the touch to be light on the back of the neck. So let it be very light, and just sort of run the fingers. And you don't have to worry about it being perfect. You can kind of come away from the spine and back toward the spine. Sort of, that's a nice one, actually. Wow. My forehead's letting go even more doing this. So just play with it a little bit, but let it be pleasurable. So notice how you can allow for these really gentle, light strokes of the fingers on the back of the spine, on the upper back. Very, very light and gentle, done with awareness. You can direct your intention so that everything can start to soften. You should feel the tissue softening. And then let everything come to rest, and notice how that has changed everything. I feel great. I hope you do. Okay, so let's next got a couple more. Next, let's take one hand and bring it behind the head to the sort of the base of the skull, and you kind of cradle your head with that hand. And then bring the other hand to the front of the forehead so that the fingers are kind of up and back. So it's kind of a vertical orientation of the hand. And for this, you'll likely find it's easiest to close the eyes. And what we're going to do is you're going to imagine, and remember, if this is strenuous, you rest and at any time. But you want to imagine that your head is like a ball that you're holding between these two hands. And you want to hold it really, really lightly. So imagine, maybe rather than a ball, imagine a baby's head. Okay, so you're holding a baby's head, and like a sleeping baby. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to gently rock the head forward and catch it with the front hand, so that you can feel the weight of the head in the front hand. So really let it go into that hand so that the hand is catching it. Then slowly push and gently push the head up until the weight transfers to the back hand, and let the back hand gently cradle and hold the head. So you're going to be looking slightly up, just slightly, but not a great deal. And then come forward. So you just, with the back hand, you gently bring the head forward, and then the head releases until it's held by the front hand. So you really want to let the weight be held by the front hand. And then the front hand pushes gently the head back up until the weight transfers to the backhand, and then let the weight be held by the backhand. So we're just going to do this a few more times, just a few more. And the main thing is that you really imagine, again, like you're holding a baby's head. So it's, you let your head be very relaxed, like a sleeping baby, so that the weight transfers. And when you come forward, you could take the backhand away if you wanted, and you could feel that head is totally supported. The weight is totally supported, so the neck can be relaxed here. And then when you push gently up until the weight is transferred to the backhand. And then you could take the front hand away, and the backhand is holding the head, cradling it. So it's very, very gently supported, but well supported. And then bring the head just to where it's neither forward or backwards, so that the weight is not in either hand, and the neck and spine is relaxed, and then gently bring the hands down. So I hope that you're finding this to be very enjoyable. And we're going to wrap this portion up now. Let's rub the hands again together and feel the hands, feel the fingers, feel the sensations. Let it be gentle and pleasurable, really a really sensual experience. So it's not just, although that's fine too, but so it's fine to do it quickly, and that's all fine. But for this particular one, let's just make it a very sensual thing. So you can feel all the fingers, let the fingers be relaxed and soft. So you're really gently awakening all of the sensation throughout the hands. And then let's bring those hands to the forehead and slide them over the top of the head, gently, but feeling the natural weight of the hands back down the back of the head, so that you can really start to become aware of the shape of the head, and then down the sides of the neck and wrapping around to the front, so that they slide down the front of the throat, down to the breastbone, and then down the chest. And let's do that 2 more times. So starting on the forehead, up and over, down the back, behind the ears, and the jaw, wrapping around the sides of the neck to the front of the throat, and sliding the fingers down the front of the throat, down to the breastbone, and down the chest. We'll do one more. So you should feel your head. You should start to really feel the shape of your skull and the jaw and the neck and the throat. Should have a very profound effect. And then rest the hands. And then let's conclude the formal portion of today's meeting by consciously blessing. So if you may do this with eyes open or eyes closed, it doesn't either way. If you're accustomed to doing it one way, you can try it the other way. And begin by recognizing that, again, there is this inexhaustible intelligence and grace that we can discover right at the heart of our being. And it's so pure that we can't grasp it with our intellectual mind, but we can sense it, and we can begin to allow for it to flow through us, bringing blessings to all that it touches, beginning with our own selves. So start with the inner body, consciously bring blessings, allow for this inner radiance to saturate all of your inner body with healing light. Allow it to bring healing to your organs, to your bones, to your circulatory system, to your brain. Allow it to bring healing and blessings to your thoughts, your emotions, your memories. And then allow it to begin to radiate through the inner body, through the skin, and to bring blessings to your home, to your loved ones, your friends, your family, wherever they may be in time and space. Bless your neighbors, bless all of the animals and all of the plants and all of the minerals, bless the water, bless the air. Bless the heat and the light and the fire. And also send blessings consciously to all beings everywhere, including those who you have misunderstandings with and disagreements with, so that there can be healing everywhere, so that all beings everywhere can experience and know harmony and peace and abundance of goodness. And then take this final few moments to become aware of your physical body and to give thanks for your physical body and to intend to continue to direct healing blessings to your physical body so that you can enjoy good health, good energy, relationships as you go through your day today. Become aware of the body from head to toe. So become aware of the scalp, forehead, the ears, the tongue, the throat, the chest, the shoulders, the upper back, the arms and hands and fingers, the lower back, the abdomen, the buttocks, the thighs, the knees, the lower legs, the feet, the toes, and the soles of the feet. And one more time, become aware of the whole body from head to toe. Wiggle your fingers. And when you're ready, if you've had your eyes closed, then you can begin to slowly open the eyes. I'm going to end the recording of the formal inquiry in a few moments. Don't think I need to say too much about it. This was very gentle, but it's always important to be aware that even though it's so gentle, these movements we did today are very, very, very gentle. They produce profound changes, especially when we've taken the time to really settle the nervous system in advance and to be very present and aware. So these seemingly very simple movements can produce very profound changes at all levels. It's important to know that the emotions and thoughts and beliefs and memories all have physical correlates, bioenergetic correlates. And so as we release things in the body and in the nervous system, then the aspects of experience that correlate to that, the other facets of the constellations, will also be released. And sometimes that happens very, very easily and smoothly, and other times, especially stuff that's old traumas, especially if we don't have a context to even understand it, if it's like early infancy, we don't have a context for that. So that can be a little bit uncomfortable or unstabilizing or unpleasant. So just know that whatever happens is good and safe, and you are well and cared for and protected and guided. It's really important to have that faith because it's true, and it will save you from so much unnecessary struggle and suffering, because things will come up and you'll think, why am I feeling this way? Why is this happening? Why am I troubled by this thought or this idea or this memory all of a sudden? Or why am I experiencing this sensation? Why am I experiencing pain that I wasn't experiencing earlier? Was this a punishment? Did I do something wrong? What do I have to do? And you will save yourself so much unnecessary grief if you just remember you've done really some really powerful work. Changes are inevitable. These are good changes. You're not being punished. You are absolutely loved and protected and guided. There's no doubt about it, even though you might have doubts, but it's true. So just have faith, be gentle, nourish yourself, nurture yourself, be kind to yourself, bless yourself, bless your experience, give thanks for your experience, and surrender and release, and know that all it inevitably will pass, and that the lessons reveal themselves usually after the fact. So just have patience and faith, and know that all is working out for good in your life. And then, of course, if you're in a pinch and you need support and you don't know where else to turn to, reach out to me. I'm always available. Well, I don't know about always, but I'm available. That's it for now. Okay, so I'm gonna end the recording. Thank you.